Designing a car isn't just a matter of drawing up somebody's lines and calling it a day. With countless challenges to work around, a production car is usually sensible and based on reality first, and a creative expression second. Of course, there are exceptions to this, like low-volume hypercars, but when it comes to true creativity that explores whatever a manufacturer chooses, concept cars are the ultimate. When it comes to Italian sports cars too, vision is everything, with artistic beauties from the country being well respected as the ultimate in style, passion, and performance, though maybe not reliability. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the 10 weirdest Italian sports car concepts ever made. Alfa Romeo Scaguera. A wildly weird and futuristic supercar concept from the 90s, the Alfa Romeo Scaguera was a far-out, seriously advanced and fast concept that's as weird as it is cool. Using the fairly normal Alfa Romeo 164 sedan as its basis, the Scaguera was unveiled in 1997 at the Geneva Motor Show. Beyond its normal origins, the Scaguera was a monster, built out of carbon fiber and aluminum, and with a 400 horsepower twin-turbo V6 in the middle, the Scaguera would have been brutally fast for the time. Even crazier, the Ital-design styled body looked and looks like no other car to this day, in a very weird but very cool way. Alfa Romeo Navajo. Another ridiculous-looking concept for an Alfa Romeo supercar, the Navajo was arguably even weirder. Immediately obvious from the looks, this ultra-exotic was a product of the wedge-obsessed 70s, and took that style to a whole new level. Based on the jaw-dropping Alfa Romeo Tipo 33 Stradale, several wild and gorgeous concepts were made using these stunning supercars, and the Navajo was the final one. Built in 1976, the Navajo was styled by none other than Bertone and looked forward to the future, with its gloriously angular high-tech look. Using a 230 horsepower V8 in the middle, the Navajo is one of the coolest yet weird-looking bits of automotive retrofuturism ever created. Bertone Stratos HF0. Speaking of dramatic but weird wedge-shaped Bertone-designed concepts, few, if any, can compete with the original Stratos concept when it comes to absolutely insane looks. Contrasting a similarly wild and futuristic Ferrari concept that also debuted in 1970, the Pininfarina-designed 512S Modulo, the Stratos Zero was unveiled at the Turin Auto Show and was a masterpiece by Bertone that didn't have the production Stratos in mind at all. But when Lancia executives saw the low-slung wedge, they immediately entered talks with the design house, and 3 years later, in 1973, the iconic Rally Queen was born under the same Stratos name, and with a similarly pure wedge shape to it. Ferrari 512S Modulo. The 1970 counterpart to the Stratos Zero, as mentioned, the Pininfarina-designed Ferrari Modulo helped set the insane wedge design theme of the time, with some thoroughly weird but incredibly spectacular low-slung style. Unveiled at the 1970 Geneva Auto Show, the Modulo wasn't just some sleek piece of art, instead of being based on a genuine Ferrari race car with some brutal performance to boot. Using the chassis and 550 horsepower V12 from the 512S race car, the Modulo was a Pininfarina design that was beyond sci-fi in its looks. Just 36 inches tall, this pure wedge, like the Stratos Zero, had no room for doors and instead used an opening windshield to allow a driver inside. By far the most iconic weird Italian concept car, the Modulo to this day looks like no other car in existence. Osi Silver Fox. It's incredibly difficult to compete with the Ferrari Modulo when it comes to weird looks, but this strange machine comes very close. Looking like some vision of a futuristic spaceship, the Osi Silver Fox is an incredibly obscure and weird race car concept. A rather obscure name, Osi was an Italian design and coach building house established by the former president of Ghia. Focusing on unique, limited production models for brands like Alfa Romeo, Osi created the Silver Fox in 1967 as their own race car. Aiming to enter it into the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Silver Fox used 2 pods for cabins, with one for the driver, and another for a 1.0-liter Renault 4-cylinder. Hitting a top speed of 155 miles per hour, the Silver Fox certainly was fast for its day, but OSI shut down the following year, leaving the spectacularly strange racer to gather dust. Lamborghini Egoista. Jumping to modern times, Lamborghini is well known as a brand for creating some eye-catching cars with a focus on wild style, and the Egoista may just be the ultimate example in terms of unapologetic design and purpose. Created in 2013 to celebrate the brand's 50th anniversary, Egoista means selfish in Italian, as well as several other languages, and the single-seat design reflects that. Mimicking a fighter jet, the Egoista continues that theme all around, with a design that looks more at home on a toy car, making it jaw-dropping. Powered by a 500 horsepower V10, the Egoista's interior and exterior are certainly unique, with a price tag of $117 million for the single example produced. The Egoista is a ridiculously weird and cool piece of automotive art. Lamborghini Sonia. Another crazy-looking one-off Lamborghini concept, the Sonia, unlike Egoista, wasn't a creation of Lamborghini themselves, but rather a production car turned into a design showcase by a designer unaffiliated with Lamborghini. Unveiled at the 1991 Geneva Auto Show, the Sonia started off life as a normal Lamborghini Countach. Owned by Japanese designer Ryoji Yamazaki, the Countach was turned into his personal dream supercar, as Sonia means dream in Italian, with a fully custom body all around. While a whimsical one-off meant just to chase a dream, the Sonia is one of the weirdest concepts to bear the Lamborghini name, even if it wasn't an official one. Fiat Turbina. Just looking at the design of this Fiat, it's a weird one, but not anything too crazy. Where the true insanity and oddness begins, though, is with what powers this car. As the name and rear end might make obvious, the Fiat Turbina isn't powered by a normal internal combustion engine, but rather a gas turbine, essentially a jet engine. Chrysler too made one that is the most famous of the type, but that came later, as the Fiat Turbina was created in 1954 to explore the technology's applications in cars further. Despite actually working and having a top speed of 160 miles per hour, there were just too many issues with it, and the jet-powered Fiat remained solely as a concept, a very weird and very cool-looking one at that.